Hey, Normal Heights, friends of the 92116 neighbors. Man, we made it, okay?
Yeah.
The world didn't explode, at least as I thought.
No.
25, we turned the calendar. And, normally we start off with a bunch of empirical numbers, and we kind of have that be the... Here's the truth. What I want to do this month, gang, is I want to reset the table. First of all, the numbers that we would look at anyway are kind of confabulated and mixed up in this bunch of like post-election and weird rate uncertainty and economy and changing of the guards.
Yeah.
The truth is we have a brand new 2025 that's smoking down the barrels. I have some thoughts about it, but I think if you look at the blended between what people are saying, the leading indicators of what buyers and sellers are starting to make decisions on, and then what some of the data said, we're in a very evolving market right now.
Yeah.
And if you are looking at this and you're watching it this far along already and you haven't hit the scroll, you might be someone who wants to do something in 2025.
Right.
And so we're here to help with that. There's some rate chatter I want my boy Jeremy on the mortgage side to get hot with. And on the real estate side, we're seeing that the inventory is creeping up. The days on market are creeping up. The rates aren't really showing a lot of respite for affordability, but watch, because things are about to get really hot, really, really quick. And I'll hit more on that in a sec.
Yeah. And what you're hitting on here is the 2025. Like, are people sitting on the sideline waiting to get in? What was your cue?
Right.
And so if I go by the
That's
conversations...
a great point. Like, what's your cue? That's actually a really good point. What are you watching to be the cue?
Right.
I like that thought.
And these are the conversations I'm having with clients, right? When they say, hey, I know I'm pre-approved, but I'm kind of just going to wait a little bit. And like, what are you waiting for? Usually the conversation is, I think rates are going to go down.
Right.
And actually, even through these Fed cuts, rates have consistently gone up.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
and that's a whole separate video we're not going to get into.
I think what has happened is the goalposts have moved for a lot of people, and they thought, hey, there's this ping in rates. I'm going to wait for everything to cool off, and then I'm going to go. And what we've found is that this is kind of where it's at right now.
This meaning the rates,
the rate market,
around 7,
the real estate
6,
inventory, like. It's not they aren't these massive movements that people were waiting for to be like, that was it. That's my sign.
So let me pause you for a second. So are you kind of saying right now, for me and for the group, that rates are probably going to stay about around maybe through the whole year?
So earlier in our last handful of episodes, the projections were like, hey, we're going to be down in the low 6s by the end of 2025. And we're seeing that revised by a lot of the talking heads out there, especially because the dynamics have changed on what's constituting lower rates. The Fed's been cutting, but rates haven't been going down. So what are they looking at? They're looking at debt, national debt in particular.
Never been higher.
And unemployment rates.
Are you talking about personal debt? Well, actually, both of them have never been higher.
Both of them. Yeah. And also, unemployment rates have actually been going down. And so
a strengthening economy.
A strengthening economy
would make for
with more debt. And so it's a little bit scary. And I think what's happening is people are just holding on. So those who make the decisions on rates are kind of like, let me see what happens.
That's the people holding on.
Right. And so what does that mean if you're a home buyer? I think that means that you're not necessarily going to get this lightning bolt from above that says, buy now, it's the time.
I think that's a great take. Because that's been the cue.
Right. And then so then how do you make that decision? And that's part of a mortgage planning consultation. That's part of what we do with our clients to make sure that we are deciding what's important to you.
Yeah.
And how do we achieve that goal? Is it buy now? Is it buy later? Is it never buy? Like, all of those are viable options so long as you pay attention to what's important to you and some of these cues that you're looking at.
And I'm going to borrow that thread too. And so the cue for real estate has been a lot of people have been strategically waiting on the side. Not everybody, but I mean, last year we had the lowest number of sides and transactions since 1995, gang.
Yeah.
1995. How many of you were even alive? Hopefully you were. Yeah. But the truth is that that cue is now kind of gone. So now you have to ask yourself, okay, well then does that mean we have no real estate market? Does that mean we're out? People are still having babies.
Yep.
People are still getting new jobs, moving into and out of areas, outgrowing the spaces that they're in need of new space, right? Using that twice. So here's where I think the rubber meets the road in 25, gang, especially on the front end of 25, right? because we do this every month, right? So if you tune in, hit the subscribe button. And by the way, I also want to hit the comment too. Like, I want to hear from some of you guys. Like, what are some of the things that I want to know what your cues are.
Yeah.
I don't want to, imagine what everybody might be thinking, right? So this is kind of what we're hearing.
I specifically want to know what you think about Jesse's sweater. So if you could do me a favor and get in there and just a couple of comments. Uh-oh. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's like velour from the Drummond days. No.
That's nonsense. It's it's cashmere. Okay, my wife wouldn't put me in anything other than,
that's young kitten fur.
And that's all they sell in Ross, right? Is cashmere. Here's the cue I'm gotta land this plane looking for is it looks like if 25 is gonna be something that you want to get into, the wisdom is probably going to be that you're starting sooner than later. Oh, real estate agent telling me to act now. Oh, how convenient is that? Here's why. Oh, okay, so real talk. So here at the Greenhouse Group, we've got more listings getting ready to launch than any other January and February since we've been in business.
Right.
And this is our third decade now we're in this. Okay, so that's something to take a look at. From a buyer perspective, if inventory is on the rise, then you're like, okay, that's good. That's more choices for me. That's a more balanced market. That very well may be true.
Yeah.
So if you're a seller, you might want to get in front of that. Might want to get in front of that, right? Like, we already have enough demand, so there's at least one buyer for every home out there. This isn't Ohio, a flyover state. Right. Okay, you got multiple people that like to buy your home. You don't want 5 homes and 1 buyer. Right? All agreed, right? So you want as little inventory as possible. Scarcity, of course, indemnifies prices. As a buyer, if the inventory starts to jump and then the demand spikes, then what happens is you get left, oh crap, I was trying to time the market. Now I'm back in a situation overnight where there's a line down the street.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick example of that. I have a market that I watch up in Oregon. I love this area. It's Lake Oswego. And I get these pings on these things. Guess what's happening right now? Yeah. Price reduction, price reduction, price reduction. A bunch of homes on the market, and they're all racing to the bottom right now. So what happened there?
Not happening in San Diego, by the way.
Not happening in San Diego, but this is what you're seeing is a glut of inventory, and then people panicking to get out.
Okay.
And that's not a good space to be as a seller.
For the seller.
It's rare that something like that happens in San Diego, but I think it exemplifies your point of what happens when the tide turns, right?
Yeah. So maybe the thesis is be ready.
Yeah.
Right? If you're a seller, maybe don't wait, to get things prepped, because it always takes a month at least, to get your life all organized in a way.
Because you go in and like paint their house,
paint the house and mow the lawn and put my overalls on. I keep the sweater on though, but my overalls. But be ready, right? So be in front of the whole thing. Doesn't mean you have to do the damn thing just because you're in front of it, right? You might get all gussied up for the show and then decide, let's hang out for a little bit. It's not the right time. That's better than feeling like you might have missed it.
Agreed. And same goes for finance, of course. You can always be ready, and it's better to be ready to jump than to try to catch up with the tide.
And that's what we're doing, gang, on the corner of Adams and 36.